Should we go and just get straight into your journey into motorsport? Where did it all start for you?
It started when I was just a kid, really. I'd say I was about 10, 11 years old. A friend of mine actually had a go-kart, and he just offered me to come and try it one day. I used to want to be a football player. That was, I think, like a lot of people.
every kid had that phase.
Yeah. So, but I eventually got to the stage where I realised the team I was in was kind of outgrowing me a little bit, so physically and by ability as well. So I decided I wanted to do something else, and then my mate took me along to a track called Rhys, which is quite well known for Lewis Hamilton starting there. And I did maybe one or two laps in this go-kart, and I was like, right, that's what I want to do now. So I went back to that track and met with a team. We spoke to a few, but eventually met with a team and began a journey of what would be 5 seasons racing and karting. So I completely loved it. I think there's an element of when you're racing and karting, it's all on you, whether you do well or not. Football, it's a bit more of a team sport, isn't it? So, but I liked having kind of everything on me. I think that was one of the elements that really drew me to it.
Yeah, I think that even just driving go-karts, just like, like a local track or whatever, just that adrenaline just feels it just feels so much better, and stuff, so much powerful.
Yeah, I mean, having like the wind come through your helmet and you feel
brilliant, isn't it?
And just being that close to the ground and doing really high speeds is a really cool thing, actually. And I think when everyone tries it, whether they be on holiday or whether they go and do it seriously, it's once you try it once, I think you're hooked.
Yeah.
I think this is an unpopular opinion, but I've always found go-karting in the rain is really fun because you just test the car and it's more slippery. It's harder, but it's more fun.
Oh, I completely agree. With racing karting, say Rotax classes or AMI classes, you have to launch the curbs. Basically, it's kind of a way to get you around quicker. It just hooks the cart round, and doing that is really fun when you're in the rain and you go hit a curb at 50, 60 miles an hour. You pretty much take off, but it hooks you around. That's such a cool thing. And you'll notice if you watch any European or World Championship in karting, the British drivers always are the best because it rains a lot over here. So, and I remember the first time it rained, I know I was on slicks. The team just said, just stay out and you'll get used to it. So it's really good fun, but very challenging.
Yeah.
Would you say as well, when you're driving in the wet compared to the dry, is it completely different how you drive?
Massively different. In the dry, it's all about being incredibly smooth with the car. You want to make as minimum steering input as possible. So it means brake late, minimum steering input, get the inside rear wheel to lift up. In the wet, that doesn't happen. You literally have to launch the curbs or go very hard into a corner and use the front tires as a second brake. And with that, your rear tire will really lift up. But you've just got to brake late, and you'll often be completely sideways under braking, and then
got to trust that it will go there.
Yeah, use the brake. It looks like you're going way too fast, but use the front tires and the brake, to support you, and then eventually the tire will lift up and you'll hook round. It will look like you're going to go straight in the grass, but eventually, if you get it right, you'll hook round.
If you trust it as well.
Yeah, and it's all about going, harder into a corner every lap, and then until you go off, basically. Yeah. But it takes some bravery to do it.
Is it more kind of based on instinct when you're racing in the rain as well?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because the if you imagine, the track changes at every lap, so when it stops raining, there is more grip going into the corners, but it's down on you to find it. It's not, the track's not going to tell you that. And then probably the hardest is when it goes from wet to dry, and it's the same in Formula One.
Yeah.
It's down on you to find the dry patches on the circuit, and then ultimately, I know it's a bit confusing, but you have to cool your tires down so they don't go off, and you'll see that in Formula One. If it's drying, they'll get to the inside of the track to find the wet, and then they'll get back to the outside. So that's a thing you learn when you're kart racing at 8 years old.
Yeah. So how long was you actually kite for? Did you say it was about 5 years?
I did 4.5 seasons overall. I was during my 5th season when I stopped, but I raced in British Championship 3 seasons, won a couple of club championships, but racing in those British Championships was incredibly fun. You know, traveling the country, doing each round. We even traveled abroad to Belgium to do a round there. And in the paddock at the same time with me was, Lando Norris, Alex Albon, George Russell. I wasn't racing against those guys, but we were all different ages. But it was a really competitive championship overall that I did. So yeah, and I got top 10. The final year I did it. So if you're top 10 in a British Championship, you get to wear that number on your kart wherever you go. It's kind of it's kind of locked to you. So getting that top 10 was a real great moment for me, and putting the number 10 on my kart, knowing no one else could run it was really cool.
Was there any did you race against any drivers now in karting that are now professional drivers or in Formula One or whatever?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest name was Jack Aitken. I used to race. He got to do Formula One. I raced him quite a lot, and his brother as well. Loads of people who've gone on to do World Endurance Championship stuff and stuff like that. But I'd say Jack was probably the standout. Another was Jake Hughes, who did race in Formula E.
Yes.
He was really good, and I had some great races with him as well. So yeah, you could kind of tell from even that age who the drivers that were going to go.
I was going to ask that whether you could see straight away. Yeah, they've got the skill to do it.
Yeah, it's partly skill. And then partly, budget as well. If you have both, then you're on a really good track. But some drivers like Jake Hughes, he didn't have a ton of budget behind him, but he was incredibly talented. Started very late, but was just naturally good at 16 when everyone else started 8 years before. So it's down to that. You can really see at that age who the drivers are that's going to be good, and that's why F1 teams now look at karting drivers and pick them up from karting. So Kimi Antonelli was noticed by Nico Rosberg, and then he was sponsored by Mercedes shortly afterwards, and that's a similar thing now in karting. A lot of drivers get picked up by F1 teams very early.
And with these top drivers like Jack Aitken, who's bossing it now in IMSA and stuff, what does he do differently that you notice that you do differently? What's that skill?
Yeah, I mean it's fine. Karting comes down to the whole field. You imagine 100 drivers can be split by half a second.
Yeah.
But only a certain amount of drivers can find that kind of extra half a tenth to tenth. And that takes you about 20 places in a qualifying session in karting. So it's being able to find that. And then I'd say that the bigger part is being able to do it for 15 minutes in a race every single lap without making any mistakes. When you see drivers like that, those are the drivers that are going to go far. And, karting is randomly drawn grids. So when you're put at the back, people that can come through the field very quickly are the ones that stand out. So yeah, it's all about instinct, bravery as well, and skill to be able to get that extra half a tenth every lap.
Yeah.
Was there any great memories you had karting? Because you always see drivers that's their best time when they're actually racing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, one that stands out for me is I was racing in I think it was seniors, one of my final years, and I was leading the race and I came off the track on the first lap because someone dumped fluid. My biggest rival had qualified 12th, and he got into the lead by about 2 seconds, and I spent 15 minutes chasing him down, and then last corner, last lap, I overtook him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and even after, he said fair play, and I did that to him on another occasion as well, where it was we were going to crash here, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of memories that really stand out. It's almost a shame I don't have them, have it to watch back now, but karting now is filmed on a massive level, but back then it wasn't. So it's only the stories to tell like this.
I'd say as well with karting, it's all drivers say that's the best when they have the most fun. And in terms of battles as well, that's when they have their best battles and things.
Yeah, I mean that's why Lando Norris has got his own karts, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and they've got kind of their own factory teams, if you like, and they'll come back in the winter and they'll go in go-karts. They will do gearbox karts though, and I've driven them once, and they're absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine.
If you imagine you've got to go, down 4 gears into a hairpin, stop the kart, and then go back up 4 gears, all in the space of about 7 or 8 seconds.
That's some skill level.
It's going to come off by the end. So it's a different kind of fitness, and that's why all the F1 drivers you'll see on their Instagram and stuff, they go and do this gearbox karting in the winter because it just keeps them so fit.
Yeah. So do you still kart now every now and then, or
no? Due to my epilepsy, I can't get in a kart anymore. I can't drive on the road, but I really miss it. I have to say, if I didn't have this condition, I'd say I would definitely get back out and do a race or 2 a year. It's something that led to me doing what I do. So there's two sides to it, I guess, but it's so fun. I enjoy even just watching kart racing.
Yeah.
I try and get back at least once a year just to have a watch, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. So, but can you talk to me through that epilepsy? How did that affect you? How?
Yeah, I mean, I was diagnosed at I had my first seizure at 17 years old when I was at a kart race. I wasn't on the track, but I woke up in an ambulance and they told me you're going to lose your race license for 5 years now. So yeah, it was pretty devastating at the time. I just started doing college in Stanmore doing TV and film, and working in TV and film was something I really wanted to do. So I just found inspiration to come back into the sport. They set us this project of doing a live TV show.
Yeah.
And I thought, all the kart races I've done have never been filmed. Like, let's go back to the track and film my competitors basically racing so they can have some memories to look back on. So in an agreement between the college and the track I raced at, Wilton Mill, on a regular basis, I went and filmed the first race there 3 months after my seizure, and then turned it into a small business filming kart racing. So yeah, it had a big effect on me personally, but then it kind of inspired me to do something else. So yeah.
Whereabout was you kind of on your career path into motorsport? Was you kind of looking at obviously going into out karting at that point?
Yeah, I was testing Formula Fords with a guy called Nick Tandy, who's won the 24-hour Le Mans on a few occasions, and but the budget to race even at that level is very extensive. So we couldn't, my parents could not find the money to send me into that. So I was at a bit of a crossroads, really. So I think it all happened for a reason, if you like. Happened at a good time, because it just kept me in the sport, but through another way, and through a way that's now in my full-time job. So I think it was for the best, really.
I guess, did it kind of help you long term, do you think? Not help, it's probably the wrong word, but kind of gave you that extra drive to really make a career for yourself in media?
Yeah, absolutely. Had that not happened, I might have done karting for a bit longer and then just sort of stopped. But because we were at that point, my parents were putting as much money as they could, but we were hitting the end of their budget. So I think it was all for the best that it happened, actually. And working in TV and film was something I wanted to do. I did some jobs, doing films, music videos and things like that. But that was what my career plan was. But it completely changed when this happened, and I was like, let's do commentating in motorsport. It sounds crazy, but let's try it.
But karting as well is where you kind of started your media career.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you're talking about kind of this whole thing with your epilepsy kind of forced you into that. But how was kind of doing that for a while?
It was great. I actually took over a business called Karting Magazine I started working for them about 6 months after my seizure, and then a year later I took over the business, and it's the oldest karting magazine in the world. It's been running since 1960.
Wow.
Yes, and I took that on at about 23 years old, which was quite a big step.
A bit daunting.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a lot of hard work. I did it full time for around 2 years, and eventually stopped. But yeah, doing that was crazy, but I enjoyed the commentating side more. I was getting just gigs here and there, and I just thought I really want to do F2 and F3 commentary one day, and so I made that my goal from that point on, to just do as much as I can to try and get F2 and F3, but commentating on things like I got to do the World Championships with Ollie Behrman, won that, European Championships, which has, if you go through the F2 grid, pretty much all of those drivers. Paul Aaron won my first race I did, and Roman Stanek as well.
Yeah.
And that was so much fun, going around Europe, going to all these different tracks, and seeing these guys race was at a level I never got to, was really fun.
Do you think doing all of that early in your career has helped you long term, because now you know a lot of those FT drivers' kind of backstories and where they kind of came into motorsport through?
Yeah, 100%. It's why I recommend anyone who wants to get into motorsport commentary, start at karting. Don't just try and go for it straight away, because my first ever race I commentated, Ollie Behrman was in, and that was in 2014. So I've known him for a long time. And then in 2018, I started to meet a lot of I did something called the FIA Karting European Championships, which is, it's like the Euros, if you like, of karting. And in that I met Gabriele Mini, Dino Beganovic. You go through the whole F2 grid. I met pretty much all of them, and the F3 field as well. So I've known them since they're about 12, and then our pathways have kind of followed each other since. So yeah, I don't know how well you follow F3, but Freddie Slater, I met him when he was 7 years old, and you could see the potential in him straight away there. Like, this kid's going to go to Formula One and be a world champion one day. So, yeah, so knowing the drivers from that age, you just have more of a connection to them. You know their backstory, and it just helps. It just helps a lot when you eventually then see them again down the line.
Yeah, and as that kind of with knowing those drivers, has that kind of helped you kind of get to where you are, knowing these sort of drivers, having that sort of kind of like?
I'd say yeah, there's definitely it has helped, because immediately when I come into any paddock, I remember one of the first single-seater races I did was Formula Renault Euro Cup, which is now called Formula Regional, and I knew about half the drivers there already. So that was. It was a last-minute call-up, but it didn't really matter for me because I knew most of them anyway, could go and speak to them immediately. And especially now with doing a lot of the commentating remotely, you've got a connection with them online. You can just message them on Instagram if you need to get to them. So, and they know you as well, which I think it kind of works both ways, really. And I think that always goes a long way to have that relationship with the drivers. You don't have to start building it. You're already halfway there. So
Yeah,
absolutely, it helps.
Is it kind of like as well, if they have like a special moment in a race and you kind of know what they would want to hear in commentary as well?
Yeah, so I got to call Kimi Antonelli's win at China, and that for me was a special moment because I'd known him since he was in kart racing. So, and I'd commentated on him winning a championship called Freca.
Yeah.
He won that at Zandvoort in 2023. So doing that and then doing this, it will come through, I'm sure, in the commentating that you know what that means to him. You were speaking to him where he was telling you, I want to be an F1 winner, and then you get to see that moment. You know his parents, and so yeah, I think it goes a long way. So anyone should really start, whatever gig they want to do, start in karting, and you learn the real basics of the sport as well, which helps a huge amount going forward.